Coming up next on the PodWheels Network, you'll hear The Highway to Hope, the official podcast of the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. During this edition of The Highway to Hope, we continue to discuss SCF's new health and wellness initiative, the Driven to Be Healthy, Going the Distance Challenge. And during this podcast, you'll hear from the driver ambassadors who are part of the program. Here's Driver Ambassador Craig Daniels with our preview of this podcast.
I looked at my medicals in the last few years when I got my last medical, and I gained 15 pounds every year. 10 years being over the road now, that's 150 pounds that I've gained since I've been driving over the road. I know things need to change, and it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous that I've gained not only a whole person, but I've gained an average weight of a person just sitting behind the seat and doing what I do. I've always made excuses. It's hard to work in the schedule. It's hard to do this. It's hard to do that. And all it is a bunch of excuses. It's no reasons. There's no physical ailment causing me to not be able to do this. It's all in my head.
Welcome back to The Highway to Hope, the official podcast of the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. Thanks for connecting with us again here on the PodWheels Network. Regular listeners of this podcast know that Highway to Hope is dedicated to placing a spotlight on the important work being done every week of the year by the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. As we mentioned at the top of the podcast, this edition of The Highway to Hope will give us the opportunity to share more details and get an even greater perspective on SCF's Driven to Be Healthy, Going the Distance Challenge. This new health and wellness initiative begins on July 27th. During the podcast, you'll be hearing how you can register for a health and wellness program that has been designed with a keen understanding of the demands that professional drivers face as you're out on the road. SCF Director of Philanthropy and Development, Shannon Currier, is your host for The Highway to Hope. Shannon is once again joined on this edition of the podcast by Greg Thompson, the executive producer of the PodWheels Network. If you've had a chance to hear our first health and wellness podcast, released earlier this month, you'll recognize the voices of SCF's wellness manager, Julie Dillon, and Mother Trucker Yoga co-founder, Hope Zvara. Both Julie and Hope returned for this edition of the podcast. Meanwhile, veteran professional drivers Carmen Anderson and Craig Daniels complete our guest list on this trip along the Highway to Hope. Carmen and Craig will be serving as driver ambassadors for the Going the Distance Challenge. You'll have a front row seat for their personal stories and much more through our podcast conversation. Everyone on this edition of the Highway to Hope was connected through Zoom audio. Now let's take it to Greg Thompson to get the conversation started as we begin rolling on the Highway to Hope.
Hello again, everybody. Greg Thompson from the PodWheels Network, back with you on the SCF Highway to Hope podcast, our second July podcast where we're talking about health and wellness, joined once again by Shannon Currier from SCF. And Shannon, we continue our conversation about health and wellness, and this time we're going to bring some drivers into that conversation.
We are. We're excited to continue this discussion and get some feedback on why these particular drivers wanted to be a part of this program. I wanted to welcome back Julie Dillon with SCF, our SCF Wellness Manager, and Hope Zvara with Mother Trucker Yoga to continue this conversation. Julie, tell us, why was it important to you to bring on some driver ambassadors to kick off this program?
When Hope and I were discussing the particulars and the logistics of getting the program started, one of the things that we discussed is that neither of us have actually spent an extended amount of time in the truck. We've both been up in the truck for short amounts of time, but it's not our lifestyle. It's not something we do every day. We want to have a couple of people come on board with us as ambassadors. So we wanted to ask one female and one male to be able to do that because things are a little bit different for a female on the truck than they are versus a male. Have them be able to give us real life feedback. We want to know, as we're walking through this with them, what are they seeing that we can do better? What can we do to make this easier for them? Our goal with this is that they can work alongside with us on this to make this as successful as possible to reach as many people as possible. I think what they're going to bring a lot of knowledge and experience to the table on what it looks like being out on the road and implementing these small changes that we are asking people to do, and they can help us figure out how to help others.
Right, because we've said before, none of us are actually in a truck. The information and the knowledge is valuable, and it's going to be helpful for anybody in any industry. But the fact of the matter is, we know their life looks a little different than ours. So I think it's going to be such a valuable piece to have Carmen and Craig join us in this program, because we want to do things better. We want to offer programs and incentives and encouragement that meets their needs where they are. So I think that's fantastic that we're going to bring them in. So why don't you introduce our two ambassadors that are joining the Driven to Be Healthy Going the Distance Challenge?
We have Carmen Anderson and Craig Daniels that are going to be joining us. I have known Carmen, I guess it's been 4 or 5 years now. She was a participant in our very first health challenge that we had at St. Christopher Fund, and I got to know her, know that she is just a woman of integrity, and wanted to have her on board with us. And then, of course, what would a challenge be like if we didn't talk to Craig? I know, Shannon, you know him really well, and Hope does as well. She's worked with him too. So this is a good opportunity for me to get to know him better. So I'm excited to have him on board with us as well today.
Carmen and Craig, welcome to the SCF Highway to Hope podcast. We are discussing, of course, health and wellness this month and our new Going the Distance challenge. I'd like for each of you to answer this question. Carmen, we'll start with you because it's ladies first, and I know Craig is a gentleman. What made you want to participate in this new program?
Well, like they say, it is tough being out here, and we run such different hours. I know at times I'm not the healthiest person. I try, but then I fall off the wagon. It's time to get back on again. I'm getting at that age where I want to retire, and I want to be healthy when I retire.
And you literally just followed up on something we had talked about in the first segment, because we have talked to drivers that have said, I want to be healthy when I retire because I still have things I want to do after I retire. My life does not end when I get out of this truck.
No, it doesn't. When you turn a certain age, and it's not that many years before retirement, you're thinking, I've got to get busy here. It's time again.
Absolutely. So did you have any hesitations about joining this program? Did you have any of those thoughts come in that says, I don't know if I can do this? Because we all know we have negative thoughts, and we can talk ourselves out of doing something that's positive.
No, I didn't, because like Julie had said, I participated with her in that Healthy to Be Driven, and actually that is still up and going. There are questions and people ask, and we're out there to answer. I'm hoping I can show some tips on what makes it easier, like I keep a cooler in between my seats with cold water, and I'm more likely to drink it cold than I am warm. As long as I have my cooler, I drink my water every day.
Y'all get your notebooks out so you can remember these tips that we learn along the way. So Craig, join us in the conversation. Tell us what made you want to participate in this new program.
Accountability for myself and to mentor to others. I mentor here at the company, new drivers coming in, and I get to help them with not only how to drive and things, company policies and things like that, help them with changing their lifestyle coming into the trucking lifestyle because they've only done it for a short period of time. Where they worked before, they didn't have refrigerators or a way to cook or anything like that. And our company does provide refrigerators and electrical power that we can use to run appliances to cook with.
Now, what hesitation did you have, if any, when you were approached about being an ambassador for this program? Because we know drivers are out there saying, I need to make changes, but they also want to see real people doing this. What did you think when you were approached about being an ambassador?
Well, I didn't have any hesitation at all. Other than that's just it. I'm not a model. I'm not a stick. I used to be. Back in the day when I had 7% body fat and I was jumping out of airplanes for a living. Year or two before that, I had drill sergeants and black hats screaming at me to run 10, 15 miles a day and throw a 50-pound ruck on and run 10 more. Those days are long and over with, and my body has taken a toll. My knees, my back, my hip have taken its toll because of that. But that's the bit of weight that I've lost and the healthier that I've gotten just a little bit since then have shown me that I can get some of that good feeling back again. I just need to get back into my own program and work hard at it because I worked hard at getting fat. I need to work hard at getting thin.
And Craig, we talked about this with Hope and Julie in the first podcast in July, but one of the biggest hurdles is taking that first step and realizing what you just said. You didn't get to where you are right now or were a month ago overnight. It took time. and getting back to where you want to be is going to take time. So can you speak to that a little bit about the discipline it takes and about just those small steps and feeling better as you take those small steps?
I looked at my medicals in the last few years when I got my last medical, and I gained 15 pounds every year. 10 years being over the road now, that's 150 pounds that I've gained since I've been driving over the road. I know things need to change, and it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous that I've gained not only a whole person, but I've gained an average weight of a person just sitting behind the seat and doing what I do. I've always made excuses. It's hard to work in the schedule. It's hard to do this. It's hard to do that. And all it is a bunch of excuses. It's no reasons. There's no physical ailment causing me to not be able to do this. It's all in my head. I bought a stepper that I can use in between my cabinets that I can put on my floor. I have rubber bands to work with. I have a board that looks kind of like a skateboard that you can buy online that I can twist and get some motion back. I look out and I see these other guys in the truck stops, and Shannon and I talked about it before. Last year, there are some big fellas out here, and I mean some big fellas out here. They make me look skinny. I don't want to ever get that big, and I would like to be able to help them out.
And thank you for what you just shared, because that makes it real. That is one of the risks that when you get into this profession is that you can fall behind for whatever reason. Sharing your story, standing ovation to you because you're standing up and wanting to do something about it. So as you see these folks, and hopefully we're speaking to some of the folks right now who need this program, what do you tell them about your mindset, about how you're not looking back at what you did, but how you're looking forward to what you can do to make a difference, and how that is positively impacting your life at this point?
When I see people daily and at the truck shows, and I know you all have seen them at the truck shows, the only thing they can buy to wear is sweatpants and shorts. We need to do something. They need to do something about it. And I need to lead the way. That's what's been ingrained to me, was to lead the way and lead by example. And when I was asked to do this, that's the first thing I thought of, was that by leading by example, it always helps me out, better reflect myself, whether I was teaching a Bible school class or teaching students how to drive trucks or teaching somebody how to operate a piece of heavy equipment. It always made me a better operator by focusing more on what they're doing and finding my own errors in what they're doing. By doing that, I hope to drag myself kicking and screaming along into this program. And that's why I like that it's going the long distance, is because I can lose 30 pounds in a month. I've done it I don't know how many times. And then my schedule flips. I'll go from running days to nights to days to nights, one right after the other. And it gets to a point where I don't want to cook. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to do anything because I'm tired. I need to sleep because my schedule flips. And that's part of being a refrigerated hauler. But that's nothing more than an excuse. And I know I will sleep better. I know I will feel better because I still have 10 hours no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. I still have 10-hour break. I still need to do my exercise. I still need to cook my foods. I still need to stick with my own habits and do the things that matter.
Hope Zvara from Mother Trucker Yoga is with us again on this edition of the podcast. And Hope, you've been working with Craig. What can you say about what he just shared with us?
Hey, Craig, what you're doing is you're taking ownership over your life. That is a powerful tool. The second we take ownership over ourselves, all of the opportunities become available. So I can't speak for everyone else that's listening to you right now, but I just want to say, you're my hero right now. Truly listening to you and being so honest and so raw about where you are and where you want to go. So many people could value hearing this from you right now. So I just want to say thank you.
And Carmen, I assume you're probably in this same kind of mindset as Craig. You're ready to take ownership. You're ready to start doing the things that you need to do for the long haul, not for the short haul. Have you had to put yourself in the right mindset? Have you already done anything that is preparing you to start this challenge at the end of the month?
Oh, yeah. The last time I was at the doctor's, when we did my A1C, she told me, you're getting up to where you're pre-diabetic, you're about ready to go. And that really made me wake up. I have been a big pop drinker. I love my Coke. I have really been trying to just drink water, and it's hard. I not really cheat, but I treat myself to like a half a Coke. So I can say, hey, it gets that feeling where it's like, okay, then I can go back to drinking my water every day. And that's some of the smaller steps. And like when I'm home, because I'm usually 3 weeks out at a time, I try to cook up a bunch of food because my company too does provide a refrigerator. And then I also have a portable freezer so I can throw things in the freezer. So at night, it's already done. So when I'm tired, I can just throw it in the microwave.
Carmen, as you're making these changes, particularly giving up a Coke, which I know because I will tell you that I got that same news at one point, and this was like 10 years ago, from my doctor who said, hey, your A1C is climbing. My doctor said, you can continue this way and we can start talking about managing diabetes. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. And for you guys, pushing that A1C to that point where you're diabetic, that puts your career at risk. Let's talk a little bit about when you got that news and when it was a motivator. And also want to talk to you a little bit about making these changes, having the food aboard the truck and the discipline to do that. So what was it like when you got that news?
Well, it was like not me because I've always had good numbers, and it's like, wow, it just really woke me up there. I thought I have got to do something because, like I said, it's not that long and I'll be retiring and I want to be around for a while. I know I don't get enough exercise because there's days where you want to lay in bed and you're like, you're tired. I've been forcing myself to get up now and start walking because it does make me feel so much better when I do walk.
That's the thing about it. There's such a positivity to it. You do the exercise, talk about having the food aboard the truck. I know it's a little bit more prep time. There's a little more thought that has to go into it, but to have that meal at the end of the day and then not have to sort through the options at the truck stops, which have been getting better, but still there are those temptations. But to have that food there, has that helped you as well?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Like I said, when I go home, I try to cook up a bunch. Like I'd cook up a healthy meatloaf with cauliflower, and I use a lot of buffalo, just trying to make better choices of what I bring along. So when I go heat up, and like this is grilling season, so I can do a lot of asparagus and Brussels sprouts and things like that and bring them along. It's easy to pull it out the morning of, so by the time you do stop, you can just pop it in the microwave and have a healthy meal.
You mentioned grilling. Do you have a grill aboard the truck? Do you ever do any grilling out there on the road?
No, I don't have a grill, but I do grill up a bunch of things at home. But our company does provide us at our yard. They do have a grill for us. So if we are over there overnight, we can go to the company store and buy meat and grill.
And one of the things we haven't mentioned yet is that you do refrigerated hauling and work with a meat company, so you have access to a lot of good choices for you.
Yes, we have our own private meat store that we are allowed to buy, and so you can buy the good cuts of meat already. Take advantage of that with the prices instead of buying the high dollar stuff right now at the stores. With the freezer, you can always throw it in and take it out as you need it. That freezer has been a lifesaver.
Hope and Julie, when you all hear the feedback from Carmen and Craig, we're hearing really they do have the best situation. They do have refrigerators in their trucks and they're company drivers, so they have yards that they can go to have access to grills and things like that. So that's a positive thing already for them. We're also going to be faced with drivers who don't have those conveniences in their trucks. How are you going to speak to both types of drivers and encourage them to do things that work for them on their trucks with the supplies that they do have available?
Great question, Shannon. And I think one of the things we have to look at is we have to ask ourselves, truck driver or not, what does my situation look like? What are the tools that are available to me and what can I do today? One of the things I hear a lot from drivers that are making healthy changes and maybe aren't in the situation that Craig and Carmen are in with these types of amenities available is that they've kind of had a make it work moment where they meal prep as much as they can when they do head out on the road, and maybe that gets them through a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and then they know that there's going to be a couple of times that maybe they have to eat out or they have to eat at the truck stop, and they try to find a balance between the two. The other thing is I've heard a lot of drivers starting to use things like Instacart, where they can have the groceries delivered to the truck stop or where they're parked. Now, I know that that's not a possibility all the time, but what can you do? And just remember that a little is better than nothing. Having the mentality of saying, well, I can't do it all the time, so I'm never going to do it, is not going to change your situation at all. Having a salad 1 out of 7 days is better than not having a salad at all. Drinking a bottle of water once every day versus never drinking it is going to dramatically increase your health and well-being. You may not be in Craig and Carmen's situation, but you can create the best situation for yourself with what's available right now, and it can only get better.
You're listening to the PodWheels Network presentation of the Highway to Hope, the official podcast of the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. The St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund is a charity that helps over-the-road and regional truck drivers and their families when an illness or injury occurring within the last year has caused them to be out of work. SCF is also working to provide programs, including health and wellness initiatives, that are designed to benefit professional drivers and the trucking industry. If you are a professional truck driver or a family member of a driver who's in need of assistance following an illness or injury, please visit the organization's website at truckersfund.org. That's truckersfund.org. Over its history, the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund has raised more than $3 million through the generous support of donations by corporate sponsors, groups, and countless individuals who are part of the trucking community at large. As the country continues to deal with the COVID-19 national emergency, the need for assistance for professional drivers and their families has never been greater. SCF is continually working to grow its donor base, and you might be able to help in the effort to pay it forward through SCF. If you are interested in becoming a supporter of the work done by SCF, please visit truckersfund.org and click on the donate button. Visit truckersfund.org and consider making a donation today. Now let's return to our health and wellness conversation on this edition of the Highway to Hope podcast. Greg Thompson, the executive producer of the PodWheels Network, has the next question for our guests as they discuss SCF's Driven to be Healthy, Going the Distance Challenge.
Hello again, everybody, and thanks for making the SCF Highway to Hope podcast part of your day. We're back with our final segment for the 2 episodes this month that we have dedicated to health and wellness. Of course, we're here with Shannon Currier, the host of the Highway to Hope, and as you know, Shannon is also the Director of Philanthropy and Development for the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. Our focus during the health and wellness episodes has been the Driven to be Healthy, Going the Distance Challenge, which starts on July 27th. And joining us for this episode of the SCF Highway to Hope are SCF's Wellness Manager Julie Dillon, Hope Zvara, the co-founder of Mother Trucker Yoga, and the driver ambassadors for the program, professional drivers Carmen Anderson and Craig Daniels. And as we get back into our remaining questions, Julie, I wanted to ask you and Hope about the support component for this program. So Julie, what can you tell us about the importance of having support when participating in a program like this?
One of the things about an intelligent person is when they find someone that knows more than them to come alongside them and make them look good.
What you just said right there was really critical and does kind of sum up our entire episode here. And the challenge is, who are you choosing to surround yourself with? Who are you choosing to let inside your head? Who are you choosing to feed you information? Who are you choosing to lift you up or tear you down? You get to choose that every single day. So if you don't want to be on Facebook and you don't want to be engaged with all that other stuff, then make some bogus alias account and only join our group, and you won't see any of that. You will find, though, that when you surround yourself with people that are where you want to be or are of like mind or are trying to make the same changes you are, you've just increased the potential and likelihood of you getting to where you want to go by 1,000%. And even if you don't end up after this challenge exactly where you want to be, you will be 30 days further along. Actually, more than that, because there's a 5-day and a 28-day, but you get my drift. You'll be a month further ahead of where you were when you first started. We can sometimes look back and say, I've never made this much progress before. I've never made all of these great changes before. I feel so much better. And we can only make one new change after we actually decide to make the change. And that's why we created this challenge. That's why we created this group. That's why we've all come together. That's why we have Craig and Carmen to keep cheering you on, to be your sounding board, to be your support, for them to say, I know what it's like. And for Julie and I to be continually your cheerleader, but also your educators, and helping you strive for something greater than yourself, which is your health and well-being, and to believe that you can be healthy. You can live a better life. You can be that dad, that spouse, that brother, and that friend that you always desired to be. Like, that is available to you.
Now, Craig, what are your thoughts?
One of the other things about the Facebook thing, like you mentioned, is there's so many, quote, cooking on the truck Facebook pages where everybody shares recipes, they share things and appliances. Okay, Carmen and I are company drivers and we work for good companies. And a lot of the owner-operators have a choice of how to outfit their truck however they want because they own their truck. If they want to put an APU on, they want to put a 5,000-watt inverter on there, they can do that. Some of the other people don't have that choice, and they're limited to 12-volt stuff. And that was one of the things that I started out with, and one of the things that I always start people out with to buy is one of those lunchbox ovens from Road Pro. You could do so much more than just use it as a food warmer. You could cook eggs and sausage and pancakes. There's so many. You could cook a roast in that thing. I'm telling you, there's so many things you could do with that lunchbox oven. It's just so basic. It's the first cooking appliance that so many people need to get to. I still have one, even though I haven't used it in a couple of years. I use my panini press, my George Foreman grill, and I use a sandwich maker that I cook my eggs and bacon in. It's just a matter of doing things, thinking outside the box, buying appliances. I have my microwave, but since I've gotten my panini press, I don't use my microwave because I cook my bacon and eggs, my chicken, my pork chops, my steak, all on my panini press.
Well, Craig, one of the reasons that I chuckled there when you talked about the lunchbox oven, and I've heard about it before because I've actually talked to somebody who's written an entire cookbook about recipes that you can cook aboard the truck. As you said, a lot of information is out there, but in my 20 plus years of being around this industry, I never thought I'd hear somebody say, hey, we could cook a pot roast on a truck, but you can. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you absolutely can. And if you want to make it even so simple, you could go to that big box store and go into the meat section, and they have the packet of pot roast with all the veggies and everything cut. The meat, the carrots, the celery, everything is already cut. It's in a packet. And all you do is buy the packet, throw it in your lunchbox oven, plug it into your 12-volt, and drive. And then when you get done at the end of the day, if you can handle waiting until the end of the day with this thing smelling up your truck like a cooking pot roast, then you get done at the end of the day and your dinner's ready. You don't even have to go inside.
Carmen, what about you? How do you go about preparing meals on the road?
My go-to thing is an electric skillet. I mean, I have the George Foreman, but Road Pro has come out with some new 12-volt. They have a little electric skillet, and they have electric fry pan. I really like my little soup, or my 2-quart thing for soup to heat up stuff. For people that don't have access, like I'm lucky enough to have the APU and on that to have electricity when I shut down. But there's a lot of neat 12-volt appliances out there for people that, like you said, with besides that lunchbox.
Carmen, I'm glad you mentioned Road Pro because Road Pro is sponsoring the challenge.
That little portable oven is actually one of the things that Road Pro is giving to all the participants that complete the 28-day health challenge. Kind of goes hand in hand there.
Craig and Carmen, the fact that you guys have made the investment into putting cooking utilities on your truck with the George Foreman, with the lunchbox oven, all the things that you've done, you guys have made that investment and you are now seeing the benefits of that investment by having healthy options right there available to you.
Yes, I also bought a oversized TV tray because I don't have shelf space. So I bought an oversized TV tray and I set it between my seats. And I go into the store and I'll buy 4 pounds of chicken and 4 pounds of pork chops and 3 or 4 pounds of steak and some hamburger and pico de gallo and salads. And then I'll come back and I just go in there on my 30-minute break. I'll find the box store. I'll park on the side and go on my 30-minute break and then come out and I'll season ahead of time everything. And then I'll divide it up into Ziploc baggies for each serving of chicken or pork or beef, whatever it is, and put it in my freezer. When I cook my dinner tonight, I'll pull out my thawed piece out of the refrigerator and then pull out of the freezer another piece for tomorrow night and set it down in the refrigerator so that it thaws for tomorrow night. Not only does that help me with preparation and everything else, but it helps me with my one biggest problem, and that is portion size. I will eat until I can't eat anymore because that's just the way I've always been. But helping me with portioning, then I know these 2 pieces of chicken thighs, that's my dinner. These 2 steaks, that's my dinner. My eggs and bacon, that's my limit. That's what I do. By prepping both at home and out here, I figured out a way to prep out here with this oversized TV tray that not only do I season it ahead of time and it nice and marinates as it freezes, but then as it thaws, it gets even more seasoning. And then it just goes right on the grill and I don't have to do anything with it.
Carmen, to have that equipment aboard the truck gives you control over what you're being able to serve yourself and control over your diet, really.
Yes, it really does on that. Craig said you just got to take the time to prep it. Usually I'll buy like a family-sized bag of beef and grill it up in an electric skillet with my onions or whatever else I want to put in. Then I portion divide it out. Then you have your meals that are ready to go when you are. If you're on a 30-minute break, you can pop something in the microwave.
Craig and Carmen, again, we're talking about with this program, making small steps, but making a change and really embracing a discipline that says, I'm going to do better at this. I'm going to add things on to improve my life. One of the things that I wanted to try to break it down for folks, Craig, if I came to you, if I was one of the guys that you saw at the truck stop, I really wanted to make a change, but I didn't know how. What would you tell me as an ambassador for this program in terms of helping me to get started?
First thing is you have to stop eating with your hands. Everything that we eat that we can buy that's quick and easy is on a bun, wrapped in a wrap, something that you can hold in your hands and eat. You have to stop eating with your hands and you have to start using fork and knife. Not only will that slow you down in your eating where you're not stuffing a burger in your face in 4 bites, it will make you think about what you're doing. And at the same time, you're eliminating wheat, which is a killer. You're eliminating grains. You are eliminating wasteful carbohydrate calories that don't do anything for our body whatsoever beyond the few helpful carbs that we get from vegetables or something like that, or from a fruit. I heard somebody the other day say you cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet.
Let's say that you're out recruiting for this challenge, right? And you saw somebody out there that needs to make a change and they said, hey, what about this? What would you tell them about joining the challenge?
Well, like it was said earlier, what have you got to lose? All you can do is better yourself. And if bettering yourself makes your job last longer, makes your health last longer, I mean, we're all going to die. There's one thing that causes death that nobody has yet cured, and that's birth. We're all going to die. It's just a matter of how you want to live until that time period. Do you want to be the 600-pound person laying in the bed and having somebody tend to your bed sores, or do you want to be out water skiing? Do you want to be out jumping from airplanes for recreation? What do you want to do with your life? For me, just being able to get back into an airplane is a big step for me because right now I can't fly because I'm too heavy.
And Shannon, Craig just brought up another important point when mentioning motivation. What are your thoughts about motivation and the Going the Distance Driven to Be Healthy challenge?
I think we all have to have a personal motivation in order to be successful in any, whether it be a weight loss program, whether it be a healthy lifestyle change. We have to be personally motivated. If we're not doing it for ourselves and we're trying to do it for somebody else, it's just not going to work. And that's just the fact of the matter. We all know that. I know that personally. We have to be ready. We have to have our mindset ready. It's just like stopping smoking. If you're not ready to stop smoking, you're not going to. The awesome thing about this program and about the Facebook group is these kind of tips, cooking on the truck, preparing ahead of time, these are the kinds of things that you're going to see and hear in that Facebook group if you choose to participate in this program. Even if you're not ready to participate, go and join the Facebook group because you're going to find some encouragement along the way that maybe the next time around when we do something like this, you'll be ready to be a part of it. That's what's great about having Craig and Carmen be a part of this. They are living it. They are doing it. They're not already health people walking around. This is everyday life. These are everyday people. That's who motivates us a lot of times, is people that are where we are. And that's what's so awesome about Julie and about Hope. Both of them want to meet each one of these drivers, each one of these participants where they are. Where can you start from where you are now? What small changes can you make from where you are now? So in 30 days, you see some healthier, maybe you do see some weight loss. This is not a weight loss program. Maybe you see some weight loss. Maybe you just feel better. Maybe you sleep a little better. Maybe your digestion is a little bit better because you've been drinking more water instead of soda. You're going to see after 30 days, you're going to see some positives. And that's what's awesome about this program. It's called Going the Distance Challenge for a reason. We're not looking to, in 30 days, change everything about what you do. Julie and Hope, you all are going to meet these drivers where they are as far as eating, where they are as far as exercising. Craig mentioned his knees hurting. Everybody can't get out and do jumping jacks. But Hope, I guarantee you can tell them what they can do.
Absolutely. And just to continue with that, there are also more effective ways to get your metabolism up and to kind of get more bang for your buck, so to speak, than just saying, well, I can't run or I can't jump rope. What about stepping up and down off the step of your truck for a minute straight? I call it chair running. If you know me, you've seen our Facebook page, I've shown you before, like there are lots of ways that you can increase your heart rate and get that cardio in that's low to no impact. Never underestimate the value of stretching and what that does for not just your physical body, but your mind as well. And just overall healthier choices that you can make while you're doing what you're doing every single day, like filling up with fuel, like sitting and driving. Yes, there are things that you can do while you are driving that will add to the bucket of movement so that when you get out of your truck, you don't feel like you can't stand up straight. You're like, wow, my back actually doesn't hurt right now. Those are all the little changes that you can make that are going to lead to other healthy changes.
And I called Hope, emailed her, I don't know, what was it, 3-4 months ago. I had a plantar fasciitis problem. I said, Hope, what do you got? She sent me a couple of links to some videos of some simple stretching, and it's gone. It's absolutely gone.
Woohoo!
See, it works. That's part of what you're doing, is you're building a community, which SCF knows from previous efforts. You know this works. So there has to be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement as we look toward the end of July and launching this program.
You're right. And we know the healthy choices. We know broccoli is better for us than French fries and Lay's potato chips. We know that. We know carrots are better. We know that. We just have to do it.
So we've had a great discussion in this edition of the SCF Highway to Hope podcast. Thank you to everyone that has joined us. Thank you, Kim McDonald from Road Pro, for supporting this program and all of our health and wellness programs. Thank you, Craig and Carmen, for being willing to be ambassadors and encourage other people to make the healthy decisions for a healthier lifestyle and healthier retirement after you get out of the truck. Julie and Hope, you guys are going to be great encouragers and great motivators for the participants in this program. Hope, if you had to just leave our listeners that are contemplating participating in this, if you could leave them with one thought or one piece of encouragement, what would that be?
That today is a perfect day to start. Don't wait until tomorrow, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold for us, but you can start today, because you deserve to live a life that you feel healthy and happy in. You deserve to be able to go home on your days off and get down on the ground and play with your kids and your grandkids and go for those walks with your spouse and your dog and go to the park and go out to eat and feel good about it. You deserve a life that gives you everything you want and more, because you deserve it.
And in case you haven't heard it today, drivers, listeners, you are worth it. Invest in yourselves. Invest in your health. Julie, wrap us up. What do you have to say to people that want to participate, and tell everybody again how to register for the Driven to Be Healthy Going the Distance Challenge?
The power is in your hands. You can make a difference in your life. We can talk to you all day long, but ultimately you hold the power and you hold the keys to success in your health. The way that you can begin doing that is by going over to our website at either truckersfund.org or mothertruckeryoga.com to register. Fill out the 5-minute questionnaire, and that'll get you registered in the program. Then head on over to our Facebook page group, which is Driven to Be Healthy, Going the Distance, and sign up with that and get registered on there with us as well. This challenge starts July 27th. So we still have a little time left out there for you to get registered and get in on that. July 27th. So get registered and get ready. We're going to roll.
Thank you all for joining us on this podcast, and thank you all for being committed to the health and wellness of our driving community. We all need support. We all need people cheering us on and helping make everyday choices a little easier, and that's what you all do every day. That's what you're going to do with this challenge. That's what Craig and Carmen are going to do as ambassadors. And it's an honor to work alongside all of you in this industry. Thank you for just putting this challenge together. Thank you for encouraging everyone to participate. I'm going to jump in there with y'all. So y'all are going to have to hold me accountable as well. We can't wait to kick this off at the end of the month. So go get registered.
Once again, thank you for listening to Highway to Hope on the PodWheels Network. The Highway to Hope is the official podcast of the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. If you would like to learn more about SCF or would like to make a donation to SCF, please visit the organization's website at truckersfund.org. That's truckersfund.org. We'll have more new episodes of the Highway to Hope coming your way in the near future. The PodWheels Network is proud to produce the Highway to Hope podcast in collaboration with the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. We'd like to hear from you, our listeners. Please send your questions, your comments, and your ideas for what you'd like to hear on the podcast to the following email address: info@podwheelsnetwork.com. That's info@podwheelsnetwork.com. The PodWheels Network would like to thank you for connecting with us today. You can stay up to date on the latest from the PodWheels Network by downloading the PodWheels app. It's available in the Apple Store and on Google Play. Just search PodWheels in either store and download the app. As we close out this edition of the Highway to Hope podcast, the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund and the PodWheels Network send our best for your continued safe travels on our nation's highways. And especially these days, as we face the COVID-19 global pandemic, remember taking good care of your health is one of the key components to staying safe on the road and staying safe at home. So with every mile you drive and during your time at home, let's stay safe and healthy out there.